Hey guys, welcome to day 5 of the Financial Setup Challenge 2024 edition. I'm Elizabeth Buko and I am your financial coach through this whole session. Okay, today we are going to be discussing something very important, and it's something that can really hold us back from building wealth fast, and that is debt, especially consumer debt. So today we're going to be focusing on consumer debt, right? And what I mean by consumer debt is debt that we acquire from stuff that we consume. So debt that we acquire from buying food that we're going to eat, or buying clothes that we're going to wear, or anything that we consume and doesn't necessarily produce or directly produce more money for us, right? Okay, so let's get into it. So if you move to section 5 of your workbook, and if you don't have the workbook, you should have it in your registration email or any of the other emails that you have gotten from me. And if you still haven't received it, please let me know and I'll email it, forward it over to you. So go to section 5 of your free workbook and you'll see our debt demolition plan. So now I know debt can be very emotional. What I mean by that is the reasons that we have to acquire debt or sometimes voluntarily acquire debt could be emotional reasons. And those are things that we have to also address so that if we do get rid of it, it doesn't accumulate again. But today we are going to focus a bit more on the strategy. But if you do find that you constantly have recurring debt that you've been able to shift after many years, please reach out. Reach out to me for a free call and we can discuss this. Okay, but get your workbook and let's go to section 5 and go through the reflection questions. So the first question I want you to think about and ask yourself, reflect on is if you do have current debt, how your debt impacts your ability to save or invest. Based on the goals that we set for ourselves in section 2, day 2, how is paying off your debt or having this debt holding you back from achieving those saving goals or those investing targets? Is it in the way, or is it not really making much of a difference because of, and then write whatever your reason is. Second question is, are there any strategies that you've used in the past to successfully pay down debt? So here, I want us to reflect on things that we've done before, if it's worked before, and um, just reflect on what you've done before to help you reduce your debt or help you pay off your debt, whichever worked for you. Then the third question is right now, back to the present moment, what debts do you currently have? So I want you to reflect on existing loans, credit card balances, any outstanding debts. So I want you to have a very clear picture of all your debts. And debts are usually called liabilities. Now, um, as we move forward and we go on to start thinking of net worth, we would want to calculate your net worth. The net worth is calculated by calculating your assets, that's everything you own, minus your liabilities, that's everything you owe, and that is actually your net worth. So here I'm asking you to calculate your complete liability, all the debts that you own. Do you have a clear picture? Many people don't actually know how much they owe. They have a good idea that it's around this, but they don't actually know the full number. How much are you paying on interest on your debts? Now, this is a good one. I want you to know how much you pay each month. So check your statements and see last month you paid this, next month you're paying this, following month you're paying this, right? So how much are you paying on your debt this month? Um, with this question, I want you to reflect on financial burden that, that is caused by interest rates and consider how reducing this cost could actually positively impact your budget. If your debt is a certain amount and you're constantly paying an extra £50 or £100 or £300 each month on, as interest because the debt is astounding, is out, outstanding. The debt is outstanding, excuse me, then you then I want you to reflect on how that money that you're paying in interest could actually go to something else. And I'm sure you've thought about that before, but think about it again and think about what it could go to. Could it go to something specific? Could it go towards paying for something that you actually really want? Yeah. Okay. So we got three more reflection questions. And number 6, envision your life without debt. This is an amazing question. So the reason why this is so good is because I want you to reflect on the freedom and financial peace that would come with being debt free. And I want you to use this vision as motivation for this debt demolition journey. So as we are pushing through, just you have I want you to have the clear picture. So when I'm saying envision your life, I want you to really be extremely dramatic in your visual description, in your imagination. Like, how would you feel? Where would you be? What would you be doing? Assuming you no longer had this debt, what would you now be able to do that you couldn't do before? What would you continue doing? What would you start doing? You know, how would you feel? How would those around you feel? How would your family members feel? Would there be an impact on the quality of lives of your children or your parents or your partner? So be very descriptive. um Number 7, consider the habits that may continue contribute to accumulating debt. So I want you to reflect in areas where you have in the past had habits that caused you to accumulate debt. So maybe it might have had to do with your environment. Hanging out with certain types of people made you spend more, or maybe it had to do with the things that you were watching. Were you watching things on social media that made you feel like, oh, I actually need this, I need that? A lot of marketing and advertisements are very subtle these days. So we are filling our minds with so much stuff, and we don't realize that we're getting subliminal messages that we should go out and buy something, you know. So reflect on those things. What habits make you contribute to just wanting more debt? Or is it emotional? Does it have to do with maybe when you feel bored and you want to go shopping, or maybe it's actually life circumstances, like maybe you just have to pay for this and or a certain thing, and for example, you just have to pay for ballet classes for your kids, but your income doesn't stretch it, or you just have to pay the childminders. Your income isn't enough to actually cover those that bill, and if you don't pay the childminders, then you will have to keep your child, and that means you can't go to work. So therefore, you put the grocery bill on your credit card so that you can have enough cash to pay the childminder. Maybe it's life, right? So just consider it. Consider what are those things, and then we can start to address it. And then, how will paying off your high interest debts positively impact your wealth building journey? So That has to do with where you want to go and how getting rid of this obstacle might help you get there faster. So your action plan is make a plan to pay off high interest debt, such as credit cards, and then consider refinancing options such as balance transfer if they help you reduce your interest rates. So to do checklist. So your to do task checklist, and we've got a few things to do today. First, today I want you to make a comprehensive list of all your debts. I really need you to do this. And if you do need my help, when you do come on the call, I'm going to ask you if you have this, because it's going to be so much easier for us to attack it if we know exactly what we're working with, right? So include the amount you owe, interest rates, minimum payments. So this is going to serve as our roadmap, to this debt demolition. Then identify which debts are costing you the most in interest. So which one cost you the high has the highest interest rate, and also identify the ones that you currently pay a lot of money on, as well, right? Prioritizing and paying off debts first that have the highest interest rate would minimize your overall interest payments if you don't build them back up again, right? Then the next thing is reflect on areas where you can actually cut back or redirect funds towards your debt repayment. And then I want you to choose a debt repayment strategy. There are two main ones I'm going to share with you today. It's either the debt snowball. So from your list, you want to pay the debts that have the smallest amounts first. So you know how much goes out each month, how much your minimum payments are each month. So the one with the smallest amount, you want to go for that first, and then you keep on attacking that, going down the list from smallest to largest. Or the debt avalanche, which is paying the debt that has the highest interest first. So you pick the strategies that you want that aligns best with your goals. And if you need help with this again, bring your checklist, a book call with me. Send me an email and let's talk about this. Then I want you to set a realistic time to become debt free. So based on your numbers, you know how much you have to pay each month, how much you earn each month. You created your spending plan. So you know how much you're paying towards your essential bills, you know how much you're putting towards your variable bills, non-essential bills, you know how much you have left over. Based on how much you have left over and how much debt you have and how much you have to pay each month towards the debt, how many months will it take you to clear out that debt? So it's some simple maths I'm asking you to do here. If you're finding that difficult, again, you can reach out. Consider reaching out to creditors to explore possible interest rate reductions. Now, this does work. So if you do communicate with your creditors, trust me, creditors would like to receive something as opposed to receiving nothing. So if you're having issues, you can reach out. You can communicate with your creditors and ask them, and see how they can support you. But also do read the small print. If they do offer you something, read the small print to make sure you're not going to be paying back more interest. The point is to see that they reduce your interest rates or they freeze your interest rate so that you're not constantly, so that your debt doesn't keep rising. And then finally, this is actually a bonus and it's a whole topic on its own. But I want you to download and read through your credit report, right? Know what debts are, because your credit report will let you know what debts are listed against your name And if there's any funky business happening with your name that you might know or might not know about or might have forgotten about, so definitely need to do that. Now, how do you get your credit report? There are three main sites that you can get your credit report. You can try Experian. I use that and I found them quite useful for me. But just start. The plan the thing is to just start attacking the debt. Once you start, you will find that you will build momentum. You will you do one small step today and it builds up and builds up and builds up, and you soon find that actually, wow, you've actually done so much more than you imagined. And fast forward to 31st of December 2024, you will be in a completely different place than you are right now. Okay. I wish you the best of luck, and I pray every favor as you attack your debt and demolish it. And I know that you can do it too. Okay. So you've got your notes section. You can actually make notes here from your reflection questions, so you can make it on your device. And I'll see you tomorrow for day 6.